Hello, welcome back into the channel. I am Deus Ex Machina. This is DEM Sports. You can probably tell by the sound of my voice that the game this weekend didn't go well. And that's an understatement. We didn't play. I don't even know what we were doing. That was one of the worst games I've seen us play in a long time. And we've had some heartbreaking losses over the years. That Hail Mary to Houston, the Oklahoma game when Dana was still the coach, where Tavon Austin rushed for like 300 yards and had 500 and something all-purpose yards, but we still lost. This wasn't a heartbreaking loss. This was just a bad game. We played bad. I mean, I wasn't heartbroken that we lost because after the first quarter, I didn't expect us to win. That opening drive, whenever we marched down the field in the first 5 minutes, after that we did nothing. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna slaughter them like I expected us to, and then nothing happened. And then on top of all that, I guess I didn't even after the game I was so fed up with football that, and there wasn't really any that games on that really piqued my interest. So I just kind of came upstairs and started playing video games and just kind of had football on in the background while I, just kind of sat here and tried to forget about the game. But apparently during that who was it? Oklahoma and Michigan game, Kirk Herbstreit said something to the effect of, yeah, we were preparing, talking about game day. Yeah, we were preparing to come to Morgantown next week until they fell in Athens or something to that effect. So yeah, there you go. Confirmation that game day was planning on being there. I mean, like I said, one of the worst games that I've ever seen us play. I mean, just if you look at the stats here, 16 minutes, time of possession, 16 minutes to 40 minutes. You're not going to win very many games when you only have the ball for 16 minutes and your opponent has it for 40. That's terrible. I mean, this is also kind of giving me a little bit of PTSD from the first time that Rich Rod was here. I kind of forgot about this until this game brought all these memories flooding back about that super fast tempo offense that he runs. It's yeah, when it's clicking, it's awesome and it's fun. But when it's not clicking, this is what happens. You end up with 16 minutes of time of possession because you're going three and out, and then your defense come back. And the same thing kind of happens even whenever it is clicking because, if a 1 or 2 minute drive's a 1 or 2 minute drive, whether you score a touchdown or go three and out. And so you put your defense out there on the field for so long that sometimes I feel like, you got to slow it down a little bit or something. But yeah, yesterday was just three and outs. Where is third down efficiency? 2 of 13. I mean, these two stats just tell the story of this whole game. I mean, that is just unacceptable. 2 of 13 on third down and 16 minutes time of possession. And I don't blame our defense. I actually credit our defense for keeping us into this game. Yeah, I mean, they had 429 yards of total offense and we had 250. So there's a huge discrepancy there. But whenever your defense is out on the field for 2/3 of the game, that's actually not that bad. And at the end of the day, they only gave up 17 points and they got us 3 turnovers. We just did nothing with them. They got us 3 turnovers. We went 3 and out on all 3 of those turnovers. It's just, and then the penalties just drove me nuts yesterday. Yeah, 8 of 85 versus 10 of 68. So they actually had more penalties than us, less yardage, but more penalties. But our penalties just seem so much more devastating. We had, obviously the most devastating penalty of the whole game was that double penalty on them for that dirty tackle against Jaheim White that, might have ended his season. I don't know yet. I still haven't seen a update on him. But our penalties just seem like they always came at the worst times. 3rd and long, and then it's an incomplete pass. Oh, it's defensive holding. Oh, 3rd and long, incomplete pass, defensive pass interference, fresh set of downs. That happened over and over. It just drove me nuts. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. We just looked bad. I see a lot of people, on the message boards being like, oh, fire Rich Rod. We should have never hired Rich Rod. Why'd we hire Rich Rod? This isn't a Rich Rod problem. This is just a personnel problem, in my opinion. The players, we brought in 81 new players. I'm not trying to make excuses, and of course, the biggest counter argument everyone's going to make is, oh, well, Indiana last year, well, yeah, okay. That happened one time, most people, Bill Belichick, who has more Super Bowl rings than he has fingers, like he can't wear all of his Super Bowl rings on one hand, brought in 70 new players now at UNC, and they look like garbage. So, I mean, I don't blame Rich Rod for this. I am starting to temper my expectations for this year. My very first video was a schedule prediction, and I had us going 7-5. I'm starting to think that might have been a little optimistic, and I'm thinking 6-6 at best, if not maybe like 5-7 or 4-8. But I don't blame Rich Rod for this situation. I think that going forward, he will continue to have success. I think he is going to be, has always been and will continue to be a successful college coach. I just think this year isn't our year. We just have too many new players. They're not gelling together yet. This might be another year like 2003, where we open the season 1-3, and then all of a sudden something clicks, and then we go on a big run. 2003, we started 1-3 and finished the season. Maybe it was even 1-4. We might have started 1-4 and finished 8-4. I know that like after week 4 or 5, we didn't lose another game after that. So yeah, this might be one of those years where something just clicks 4 or 5 weeks into the season, and we go on a little bit of a run. But we're definitely not going to be competing for any kind of a conference championship or anything this year. It's probably going to be a struggle to even get bowl eligible. But that's the end of that. That's my thoughts on our game today. Let's just look real quick, big picture around college football. Here's our conference breakdown. We've got the ACC this week going 0-5 against Power 4 opponents, 10-0 against Group of 6 and FCS opponents, but 0-5 against Power 4 opponents. That is bad. I don't care who you are. Big 12, 3-3 against Power 4, 3-2 against Group of 6. That, if there is another Big 12 fan base that is more down in the dumps than West Virginia's, it is Kansas State's. They are now 1-2 on the season. They lost week 0 over in Dublin to Iowa State, who Iowa State actually looks really good. They had one of our 3 Power 4 wins this week. They are looking really good. But Kansas State then needed last-second heroics to beat an FCS opponent in North Dakota. And this week they lost to Army, who lost to Turtleton State, some team I've never even heard of. I was actually sitting at the draft in Morgantown watching that game. That was one of the games they had on their TVs last week over Labor Day weekend. I was watching that. If you've never been to the draft, you should go check them out. That's actually a really cool bar. I'd like to keep that place in business. It's right down the road from my sister's, who I normally stay with my sister whenever I come in to visit. And I hit that place up usually once or twice every weekend that I come in. Cool little sports bar. The staff's super friendly. Go hit them up. That's my free promotion for the week. But yeah, Army is bad, and they went into Manhattan, Kansas, and beat Kansas State. So now Kansas State looks bad. They were supposed to be a conference championship contender this year. Ooh. Big Ten, they went 3-2 against Power 4 opponents. They still had this one loss against a Group of 6. UCLA looks bad. In the battle of the four-letter initials, UCLA versus UNLV. UNLV beat UCLA. So this Group of 6 loss. Otherwise, though, 15-3 overall, 11-1 against lesser opponents. SEC did well this week, 4-0 against Power 4. They had a Group of 6 loss. USF went into the Swamp down in Florida and upset Florida, who was, I think, number 13 coming in. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to The big winners, big losers, conference edition. Big winners, still got to go with the SEC, even with that Florida loss. SEC, Mississippi State beats Arizona State, who was supposed to be, they were the flag bearer of the Big 12 last year, the conference playoff representative, supposed to be competing for a championship this year. Lost to Mississippi State. Vanderbilt on the road over Virginia Tech. Obviously, the big game of the week was Oklahoma beating Michigan. And then Missouri beat Kansas, even though they were down 21-6 in the first quarter, came back to win that game. Big losers. Got to put the Big 12 in the big losers category this week. I mean, besides the West Virginia loss to Ohio and the Kansas State loss to Army that we already talked about, I just mentioned Arizona State lost to Mississippi State. Arizona State was supposed to be one of our top teams. They lost again. Oklahoma State got absolutely obliterated by Oregon. Oregon's going to beat a lot of teams this year. I think they're really good, but whenever you go and you lose by a million freaking points to them, that doesn't look good for anybody. Our big wins was Baylor beat Stanford at home, and Baylor went on the road to beat ACC, which that brings the ACC into the other big loser of the weekend. ACC with Duke losing at home to Illinois. We thought that Duke was actually going to have a chance at that. I'm in a little pool with some of my buddies where we try to pick the top 25 games each week, and 3 of the 4 of us all thought Duke was going to beat Illinois, and that game wasn't even close. And it kind of sucks because I honestly kind of feel bad. Duke has a tiny little stadium, and like if you've ever been to Duke's campus, we went down there for a basketball game a few years ago, and like all the football stadiums like over here and the basketball stadiums over here, like it's all like right there on campus. That football stadium's small, like it is tiny. Like if you the one end zone's like open, just like out into like woods. Like if you took a picture just looking out there, you'd think you were looking at like Preston High's field or something. But they couldn't even fill that up for like a top 12. I think Illinois was like 11th or 12th or something like that, and the stadium looked half empty on TV anyway. I'm like, really? Like, why? Duke's fan bases, I don't know why anybody would want to play for them. But anyway, then obviously Virginia Tech lost at home to Vandy. The BC lost to Michigan State, but it took 2 overtimes, so maybe. Stanford, of course, got beat by BYU, but Stanford also got beat by Hawaii, so Stanford's probably not that great. And that puts Big Ten holding steady. Big Ten, the Oregon win over Oklahoma State obviously looks really good, but Oklahoma State might just be really bad. Michigan State did, in fact, beat ACC opponent Boston College, but needed 2 overtimes to do it. Michigan lost to Oklahoma, and UCLA lost to UNLV, and Iowa lost to Iowa State. But, still going to just put them as holding steady, I don't think that they did anything to really totally embarrass themselves this week like the Big 12 and the ACC did, but didn't really do anything to improve their stock like the SEC did. That said, my power rankings this week, conference-wise, Big Ten still got to be number 1. They were number 1 last week. They're holding steady this week. Got to put them as number 1. They've got the number 1 ranked team, the number 2 ranked team. Number 2 has got to be the SEC. I think it's clear cut that those are the 2. It's the power 2. Those 2. The Big 12 has to be above the ACC. I don't care. You cannot. Nobody will convince me that the Big 12 is not. The Big 12 ACC head-to-head this season so far, Big 12 has beaten the ACC 4-1. They have 4 wins and 1 loss over ACC opponents this year. Big 12, in my opinion, miles ahead of the ACC. Even though the ACC's got a couple higher ranked teams, Clemson, Miami. I don't know what you want to do with Notre Dame. I don't know where you classify them anymore. But top to bottom and head to head, Big 12 way ahead of the SEC, and I'm still hopeful that the Big 12 can get multiple teams into the college football playoffs this year. even though the week 3 rankings literally came out like right before I hit record. I got to see them for like a minute before I started recording this video, and we have 3 teams ranked this year or this week, but I think that they're all like around like 20. So hopefully they continue to win, continue to move up, and hopefully the ACC continues to lose to Power 4 opponents and drop down. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'll make another video this week, getting ready for the Pitt game. I'm still super excited for it. The line just came out, and WVU is actually only like 4-point underdogs, 4.5, something like that. Everyone thought they were going to be like touchdown or more underdogs because of the way we played last week. And honestly, I just think that Ohio game is a trap game. You know, we came off a pretty good performance against an FCS opponent and was looking ahead to Pitt. I still think we'll come out and we'll play Pitt really tough, especially at home. And I think about a 4.5 point line is about right. I think we should be underdogs, but I think that we have a good chance to win. I don't think we'll have I don't think that there's going to be a game on our schedule that we're not going to have a chance to win just because of our defense, because our defense is playing pretty well right now. We just got to get that offense sorted out. And hopefully these injuries, Jaheim White, Jalen Bure, hopefully they're not too bad, and or that we can find somebody to step up and take their place. But yeah, until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your week. Let's go Mountaineers. Eat shit Pitt. Cheers. Let's go.